Androcles and the Lion by Bernard Shaw.
A jungle path, a lion's roar, melancholy suffering roar, comes from the jungle. It is repeated, nearer. The lion limps from the jungle on 3 legs, holding up his right forepaw, in which a huge thorn sticks. He sits down and contemplates it. He licks it. He shakes it. He tries to extract it by scraping it along the ground and hurts himself even worse. He roars piteously. He licks it again. Tears drop from his eyes. He limps painfully off the path and lies down under the trees, exhausted with pain, heaving a long sigh, like wind in a trombone. He goes to sleep. Androcles and his wife Magaera come along the path. He is a small, thin, ridiculous little man who might be any age from 30 to 55. He has sandy hair, watery, compassionate blue eyes, sensitive nostrils, and a very presentable forehead. But his good points go no further. His arms and legs and back, although wiry of their kind, look shriveled and starved. He carries a big bundle that is poor and is very poorly clad, and seems tired and hungry. His wife is a rather handsome, pampered slattern, well-fed and in the prime of life. She has nothing to carry and has a stout stick to help her along. Magaera suddenly throws her stick down to the ground.
I won't go another step.
Oh, not again, dear. What's the good of stopping every 2 miles and saying you won't go another step? We must get on to the next village before night. There are wild beasts in these woods. Lions, they say.
I don't believe a word of it. You're always threatening me with wild beasts to make me walk the very soul out of my body, when I can hardly drag 1 foot before another. We haven't seen a single lion yet.
Well, dear, do you want to see one?
Magaera tears the bundle from his back.
You cruel beast, you don't care how tired I am or what becomes of me.
She throws the bundle on the ground.
Always think of yourself. Self, always yourself.
And she sits down on the bundle. Androcles, sitting down sadly on the ground with his elbows on his knees and his head in his hands, says,
We have to think of ourselves occasionally, dear.
A man ought to think of his wife sometimes.
You can't always help it, dear. You make me think of you a good deal. Not that I blame you.
Blame me? I should think not indeed. Is it my fault I'm married to you?
No, dear, that is my fault.
Well, that's a nice thing to say to me. Aren't you happy with me?
I don't complain, my love.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
I am, my dear.
You're not. You glory in it.
In what, darling?
In everything. In making me a slave and making yourself a laughingstock. It's not fair. You get me the name of being a shrew with your meek ways, always talking as if butter wouldn't melt in your mouth. And just because I look a big, strong woman, and because I'm good-hearted and a bit hasty, and because you're always driving me to do things I'm sorry for afterwards, people say, poor man, what a life his wife leads him. Oh, if they only knew. And you think I don't know? But I do!
Yes, my dear, I know you do.
Then why don't you treat me properly and be a good husband to me?
What can I do, my dear?
What can you do? You can return to your duty and come back to your home and your friends and sacrifice to the gods as all respectable people do, instead of having us hunted out of house and home for being dirty, disreputable, blaspheming atheists.
I'm not an atheist, dear. I am a Christian.
Well, isn't it the same thing? Only 10 times worse? Everybody knows the Christians are the very lowest of the low.
Just like us, dear.
Speak for yourself. Don't you dare compare me to common people. My father owned his own public house, and sorrowful was the day for me when you first came drinking in our bar.
I confess I was addicted to it, dear, but I gave it up when I became a Christian.
You'd much better have remained a drunkard. I can forgive a man for being addicted to drink. It's only natural. And I don't deny that I like a drop myself sometimes. What I can't stand is you're being addicted to Christianity. And what's worse again, you're being addicted to animals. How is any woman to keep her house clean when you bring in every stray cat and lost cur and lame duck in the whole countryside? You took the bread out of my mouth to feed them. You know you did, and don't attempt to deny it.
Only when they were hungry and you were getting too stout, dearie.
No, yes, insult me, do you? I
She
won't
rises.
have it another moment. You used to sit and talk to those dumb brutes for hours when you had no word for me.
They never answered back, darling.
He rises and again shoulders the bundle.
Ugh.
Well, if you're fonder of animals than your own wife, you can live with them here in the jungle. I've had enough of them and enough of you. I'm going back. I'm going home.
Androcles blocks her way.
No, dearie, don't take on like that. We can't go back. We've sold everything. We should starve, and I should be sent to Rome and thrown to the lions.
Serve you right. I wish the lions joy of you. Are you going to get out of my way and let me go home?
No, dear.
Then I'll make my way through the forest, and when I'm eaten by the wild beast, you'll know what a wife you've lost.
She dashes into the jungle and nearly falls over the sleeping lion.
Oh, Auntie!
She totters back and collapses into the arms of Androcles, who, crushed by her weight, falls on his bundle. Androcles extracts himself from beneath her and, slapping her hands in great anxiety, says,
Ugh. What is it, my precious, my pet? What's the matter?
He raises her head. Speechless with terror, she points in the direction of the sleeping lion. He steals cautiously toward the spot indicated by Magaera. She rises with an effort and totters after him.
No, Andy, you'll be killed. Come back.
The lion utters a long, snoring sigh. Androcles sees the lion and recoils, fainting into the arms of Magaera, who falls back on the bundle. They roll apart and lie staring in terror at one another. The lion is heard groaning heavily in the jungle.
You see? A lion.
The gods have sent him to punish us because you're a Christian. Take me away, Andy. Save me.
Androcles rises.
Maggie, there's one chance for you. It'll take him pretty nigh 20 minutes to eat me. I'm rather stringy and tough, and you can escape in less time than that.
Oh, don't talk about eating.
The lion rises with a great groan and limps towards them.
Oh!
Magaera faints. Androcles, quaking but keeping between the lion and Magaera.
Don't you come near my wife, do you hear?
Oh.
Maggie, run! Run for your life! If I take my eye off him, it's all up.
The lion holds up his wounded paw and flaps it piteously before Androcles.
Oh, he's lame, poor old chap. He's got a thorn in his paw. A frightfully big thorn. Oh, poor old man. Did get an awful thorn into tootsome woodsums? Has it made too sick to eat a nice little Christian man for breakfast? Oh, a nice little Christian man will get thorn out for and then shall eat the nice Christian man, and the nice Christian man, nice big tender wifey pifey.
Oh.
Yes. Now.
He takes the paw in his hand.
Is not to bite and not to scratch, not even if it hurts a very, very little. Now make velvet paws. That's right.
He pulls gingerly at the thorn. The lion, with an angry yell of pain, jerks back his paw so abruptly that Androcles is thrown onto his back.
Steady. Oh, did the nasty, cruel little Christian man hurt the sore paw?
The lion moans assentingly, but apologetically. Oh.
Well, one more little pull and it will be all over. Just one little pull, and then will live happily ever after.
He gives the thorn another pull. The lion roars and snaps his jaws with a terrifying crash.
Oh! Mustn't frighten good kind doctor, affectionate nursey. That didn't hurt at all, not one bit. Just one more, just to show how the brave lion can bear pain, not like the little crybaby Christian man. Whoops!
The thorn comes out, the lion yells with pain and shakes his paw wildly.
That's it! Now it's out! Now lick paw to take away the nasty inflammation, see?
The lion nods intelligently and licks his paw industrially.
Clever little liney piney. Understands dear old friend Andy Wandy.
The lion licks his face.
Yes, kiss him, Sandy Wandy.
The lion, wagging his tail violently, rises on his hind paws and embraces Androcles, who makes a wry face and cries,
Velvet Falls! Velvet Falls!
The lion draws in his claws.
That's right.
He embraces the lion, who finally takes the end of his tail in one paw, places that tight around Androcles' waist, resting it on his hip. Androcles takes the other paw in his hand, stretches out his arm, and the two waltz rapturously around and finally away through the jungle. Magaera has revived during the waltz.
Oh, you coward! You haven't danced with me for years, and now you go off dancing with a great brute beast you haven't known for 10 minutes, and then once you eat your own wife, coward, 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 coward!
She rushes off after them into the jungle. It is now evening, the end of 3 converging roads to Rome. 3 triumphal arches span them where they debouch on a square at the gate of the city. Through the eastern arch, a squad of Roman soldiers tramps along, escorting a batch of Christian prisoners of both sexes and all ages, among them one Lavinia, a good-looking, resolute young woman, apparently of higher social standing than her fellow prisoners. A centurion, carrying his vinewood cudgel, trudges alongside the squad on its right, in command of it. All are tired and dusty, but the soldiers are dogged and indifferent. The Christians, light-hearted and determined to treat the hardships as a joke and encourage one another. A bugle is heard far behind on the road, where the rest of the cohort is following.
Halt! Orders from the captain. Now then, you Christians, none of your larks. The captain's coming. Mind you, behave yourselves. No singing. Look respectful. Look serious if you're capable of it. See that big building over there? That's the Colosseum. That's where you'll be thrown to the lions or set to fight the gladiators presently. Think of that, and it'll help you to behave properly before the captain. Attention! Salute!
God bless you, Captain!
Silence!
The captain, a patrician, handsome and 35, very cold and distinguished, very superior and authoritative, steps up on a stone seat at the west side of the square, behind the Centurion, so as to dominate the others more effectually.
Centurion!
Sir!
You will remind your men, Centurion, that we are now entering Rome. You will instruct them that once inside the gates of Rome, they are in the presence of the emperor. You will make them understand that the lax discipline of the march cannot be permitted here. You will instruct them to shave every day, not every week. You will impress upon them particularly that there must be an end to the profanity and blasphemy of singing Christian hymns on the march. I have to reprimand you, Centurion, for not only allowing this, but actually doing it yourself.
The men march better, Captain.
No doubt. For that reason, an exception is made in the case of the march called Onward Christian Soldiers. This may be sung, except when marching through the forum or within hearing of the emperor's palace. But the words must be altered to throw them to the lions.
Christians burst into shrieks of uncontrollable laughter, to the great scandal of the Centurion.
Silence! Silence! Where's your behavior? Is that the way to listen to an officer? Captain, that's what we have to put up with from these Christians every day, sir. They're always laughing and joking something Scandalous. They've no religion. That's how it is.
But I think the captain meant us to laugh, Centurion. It was so funny.
You'll find out how funny it is when you're thrown to the lions tomorrow. Beg pardon, sir. Silence!
You are to instruct your men that all intimacy with Christian prisoners must now cease. The men have fallen into habits of dependence upon the prisoners, especially the female prisoners, for cooking, repairs to uniforms, writing letters, and advice into their private affairs. In a Roman soldier, such dependence is inadmissible. Let me see no more of it whilst we are in the city. Further, your orders are that in addressing Christian prisoners, the manners and tone of your men must express abhorrence and contempt. Any shortcomings in this respect will be regarded as a breach of discipline. Prisoners!
Prisoners! Attention! Silence!
I call your attention, prisoners, to the fact that you may be called on to appear in the imperial circus at any time from tomorrow onward, according to the requirements of the managers. I may inform you that as there is a shortage of Christians just now, you may expect to be called on very soon.
What will they do to us, Captain?
Silence!
The women will be conducted into the arena with the wild beasts of the imperial menagerie and will suffer the consequences. The men, if of an age to bear arms, will be given weapons to defend themselves if they choose against the imperial gladiators.
Captain, is there no hope that this cruel persecution will...
Silence! Hold your tongue there! Persecution indeed.
Persecution is not a term applicable to the acts of the emperor. The emperor is the defender of the faith. In throwing you to the lions, he will be upholding the interests of religion in Rome. If you were to throw him to the lions, that would no doubt be persecution.
Silence, I tell you! Keep silence there! Did anyone ever hear the like of this?
Captain, there will be nobody to appreciate your jokes when we are gone.
I call the attention of the female prisoner Lavinia to the fact that as the emperor is a divine personage, her imputation of cruelty is not only treason, but sacrilege. I point out to her further that there is no foundation for the charge, as the emperor does not desire that any prisoner should suffer, nor can any Christian be harmed save through his or her own obstinacy. All that is necessary is to sacrifice to the gods, a simple inconvenient ceremony effected by dropping a pinch of incense on the altar, after which the prisoner is at once set free. Under such circumstances, you have only your own perverse folly to blame if you suffer. I suggest to you that if you cannot burn a morsel of incense as a matter of conviction, you might at least do so as a matter of good taste to avoid the shocking religious convictions of your fellow citizens. I am aware that these considerations do not weigh with Christians, but it is my duty to call your attention to them in order that you may have no ground for complaining of your treatment or of accusing the emperor of cruelty when he is showing you the most signal clemency. Look at from this point of view. Every Christian who has perished in the arena has really committed suicide.
Captain, your jokes are too grim. Do not think it is easy for us to die. Our faith makes life far stronger and more wonderful in us than when we walked in darkness and had nothing to live for. Death is harder for us than you. The martyr's agony is as bitter as his triumph is glorious.
Martyr, Lavinia, is a fool. Your death will prove nothing.
Then why kill me?
I mean that truth, if there be any truth, needs no martyrs.
No, but my faith, like your sword, needs testing. Can you test your sword except by staking your life on it?
I call the attention of the female prisoner to the fact that Christians are not allowed to draw the emperor's officers into arguments, and put questions to them for which the military regulations provide no answers.
How can you?
I call the female prisoner's attention especially to the fact that 4 comfortable homes have been offered her by officers of this regiment, of which she can have her choice the moment she chooses to sacrifice, as all well-bred Roman ladies do. I have no more to say to the prisoners.
Dismiss! But stay where you are.
Centurion, you will remain here with your men in charge of the prisoners until the arrival of 3 Christian prisoners in the custody of a cohort of the 10th Legion. Among these prisoners, you will particularly identify an armorer named Ferrovius, of dangerous character and great personal strength, and a Greek tailor reputed to be a sorcerer by name Androcles. You will add the 3 to your charge here and march them all to the Colosseum, where you will deliver them into the custody of the master of the gladiators and take his receipt, countersigned by the keeper of the beast and the acting manager. You understand your instructions?
Yes, sir.
Dismiss.
He throws off his air of parade and descends down from the perch. The Centurion sits on it and prepares for a nap, while his men stand at ease. The Christians sit down on the west side of the square, glad to rest. Lavinia alone remains standing to speak to the captain.
Captain, is this man who is to join us the famous Ferrovius, who has made such wonderful conversions in the northern cities?
Yes. We are warned that he has the strength of an elephant and a temper of a mad bull. Also, that he is stark mad. Not a model Christian, it would seem.
You need not fear him if he is Christian, Captain.
I shall not fear him in any case, Lavinia.
How brave of you, Captain.
You're right. It was a silly thing to say. Lavinia, do Christians know how to love?
Yes, Captain. They love even their enemies.
Is that easy?
Very easy, Captain. When their enemies are as handsome as you.
Lavinia, you're laughing at me.
At you, Captain? Impossible.
Then you are flirting with me, which is worse. Don't be foolish.
But such a very handsome captain.
Incorrigible. Listen to me. The men in that audience tomorrow will be the vilest of voluptuaries, men in whom the only passion excited by a beautiful woman is a lust to see her tortured and torn, shrieking from limb to limb. It is a crime to dignify that passion. It is offering yourself for violation by the whole rabble of the streets and the riffraff of the court at the same time. Why will you not choose rather a kindly love in an honorable alliance?
They cannot violate my soul. I alone can do that by sacrificing to false gods.
Sacrifice then to the true God. What does his name matter? We call him Jupiter. The Greeks call him Zeus. Call him what you will as you drop the incense on the altar flame. He will understand.
No, I couldn't. That is the strange thing, Captain. That a little pinch of incense should make all the difference. Religion is such a great thing that when I meet a really religious people, we are friends at once, no matter what name we give the divine that made us and moves us. Oh, do you think that I, a woman, would quarrel with you for sacrificing to a woman god like Diana, if Diana meant to you what Christ means to me? No. We should kneel side by side before her altar like 2 children. But when men who believe neither in my God nor in their own, men who do not know the meaning of the word religion, when these men drag me to the foot of an iron statue that has become the symbol of the terror and darkness through which we walk, or of their cruelty and greed, of their hatred of God and their oppression of man, when they ask me to pledge my soul before the people that this hideous idol is God, and that all of this wickedness and falsehood is divine truth, I cannot do it. Not if they could put 1,000 cruel deaths on me. I tell you, it is physically impossible. Listen, Captain, did you ever try to catch a mouse in your hand? Once, there was a dear little mouse that used to come out and play on my table as I was reading. I wanted to take him in my hand and caress him, and sometimes he got among my books so that he could not escape me when I stretched out my hand. And I did stretch out my hand, but it always came back in spite of me. I was not afraid of him in my heart, but my hand refused. Is it not the nature of my hand to touch a mouse? Well, Captain, if I took a pinch of incense in my hand and stretched it out over the altar fire, my hand would come back. My body would be true to my faith, even if you could corrupt my mind. And all the time, I should believe more in Diana than my persecutors have ever believed in anything. Can you understand that?
Yes, I understand that. But my hand would not come back. The hand that holds the sword has been trained not to come back from anything but victory.
Not even from death?
Least of all from death.
And I must not come back either. A woman has to be braver than a soldier.
Prouder, you mean?
Prouder. You call our courage pride.
There is no such thing as courage. There is only pride. You Christians are the proudest devils on earth.
Pray God, then my pride may never become a false pride. Thank you for trying to save me.
I knew it was of no use. But one tries in spite of one's knowledge.
Something stirs, even in the iron breast of a Roman soldier.
It will soon be iron again. I have seen many women die and forgotten them in a week.
Remember me for a fortnight, handsome captain. I shall be watching you, perhaps.
From the skies? Do not deceive yourself, Lavinia. There is no future for you beyond the grave.
What does that matter? Do you think I'm only running away from the terrors of life into the comfort of heaven? If there was no future, or if the future were one of torment, I should have to go just the same. The hand of God is upon me.
Yes, when all is said, we are both patricians, Lavinia, and must die for our beliefs. Farewell.
Cohort of the 10th with prisoners. 2 file out with me to receive them.
Christians,
Goes out through the western arch, followed by 4 soldiers in 2 files. Lentulus and Metellus come into the square from the west side with a little retinue of servants.
Christians, by Jove, let's chafe them.
Awful brutes. If you knew as much about them as I do, you wouldn't want to chafe them. Leave them to the lions.
Lentulus, indicating Lavinia, who is still looking toward the arches after the captain, says,
That woman's got a figure.
He walks past her, staring at her invitingly, but she is preoccupied and is not conscious of him.
Do you turn the other cheek when they kiss you?
What?
Do you turn the other cheek when they kiss you, fascinating Christian?
Don't be foolish. Please, don't let your friends behave like a cad before the soldiers. How are they to respect and obey patricians if they see them behaving like street boys? Pull yourself together, man. Hold your head up, keep the corners of your mouth firm, and treat me respectfully. What do you take me for?
Look here,
Go about your business.
She turns decisively away and sits down with her comrades, leaving him disconcerted.
You didn't get much out of that. I told you they were brutes.
A plucky little filly. I suppose she thinks I care.
With an air of indifference, he strolls with Metellus to the east side of the square, where they stand watching the return of the Centurion through the western arch with his men, escorting 3 prisoners, Ferrovius, Androcles, and Spintho.
Lavinia, here are some pals for you. This little bit is Ferrovius that you talk so much about.
Ferrovius turns on him threateningly. The Centurion holds up his left forefinger in admonition.
Now remember that you're a Christian and that you've got to return good for evil.
Ferrovius controls himself convulsively, moves away from temptation to the east side of Lentulus, clasps his hands in silent prayer, and throws himself on his knees.
That's the way to manage them, eh? This fine fellow is a sorcerer. A Greek tailor he is. A real sorcerer, too. Make no mistake about it. The 10th marches with a leopard at the head of the column. He made a pet of the leopard, and now he's crying at being parted from it. Ain't you, old chap? Well, cheer up. We march with a billy goat that's killed 2 leopards and ate a turkey cock. You can have him for a pet, if you like.
Androcles, quite consoled, goes past the Centurion to Lavinia and sits down contentedly on the ground to her left.
This dirty dog is a real Christian. He mobs the temples, he does. He goes smashing things mad drunk, he does. He steals the gold vessels, he does. He assaults the priestesses, he does. Ha! You're the sort
into this middle of the group of prisoners.
You're the sort that makes duty a pleasure, you are.
That's it. Strangle me, kick me, beat me, revile me. Our Lord was beaten and reviled. That's my way to heaven. Every martyr goes to heaven, no matter what he's done. That is so, isn't it, brother?
Well, if you're going to heaven, I don't want to go there. I wouldn't be seen with you.
Ha! Good. Is this the one they turned the other cheek, gentleman, Centurion?
Yes, sir. Lucky for you too, sir, if you want to take any liberties with him.
You turn the other cheek when you're struck, I'm told.
Yes, by the grace of God, I do now.
Not that you're a coward, of course, but out of pure piety.
I fear God more than man. At least I try to.
Let's see.
He strikes him on the cheek. Androcles makes a wild movement to rise and interfere, but Lavinia holds him down, watching Ferrovius intensely. Ferrovius, without flinching, turns the other cheek. Lentulus, rather out of countenance, titters foolishly and strikes him again feebly.
You know, I should feel ashamed if I let myself be like that, and took it lying down. But when I am not a Christian, I am a man.
Ferrovius rises impressively and towers over him. Lentulus becomes white with terror, and a shade of green flickers on his cheek for a moment.
I have not always been faithful. The first man who struck me as you have just struck me was a stronger man than you. He hit me harder than I expected. I was tempted and fell, and it was then that I first tasted bitter shame. I never had a happy moment after that till I had knelt and asked his forgiveness by his bedside in the hospital.
Putting his hands on Lentulus's shoulders with a paternal weight.
But now I have learned to resist with a strength that is not my own. I am not ashamed now or angry.
Good evening.
He tries to move away, but Ferrovius is gripping his shoulders.
Oh, do not harden your heart, young man. Come, try for yourself whether our way is not better than yours. I will now strike you on one cheek, and you will turn the other, and learn how much better you will feel than if you gave way to the promptings of anger.
He holds He holds Lentulus with one hand and clenches the other fist.
Centurion, I call on you to protect me.
You asked for it, sir. It's no business of ours. You've had 2 whacks at him. Better pay him a trifle and square it that way.
Yes, of course. It was only a bit of fun. I assure you I meant no harm. Here.
He prefers a gold coin. Ferrovius takes it and throws it to the beggar, who snatches it up eagerly and hobbles off to spend it.
Give all thou hast to the poor. Come, friend, courage. I may hurt your body for a moment, but your soul will rejoice in the victory of the spirit over the flesh.
Androcles jumps in to say,
Ferrovius, easy! You broke the last man's jaw!
Lentulus, with a moan of terror, attempts to fly, but Ferrovius holds him ruthlessly.
Yes, but I saved his soul. What matters a broken jaw?
Don't touch me. You hear? The law is...
The law will throw me to the lions tomorrow. What worse could it do were I to slay you? Pray for strength, and it shall be given to you.
Let me go. Your religion forbids you to strike me.
On the contrary, it commands me to strike you. How can you turn the other cheek if you are not first struck on the one cheek?
But I'm convinced already that what I said to you is quite right. I apologize for striking you.
My son, have I softened your heart? Has a good seed fallen in a fruitful place? Are your feet turning towards a better path?
Yes, there's a great deal in what you say.
Join us. Come to the lions. Come to suffering and death.
Lentulus falls on his knees and bursts into tears.
Help me, mother. Mother.
Tears will water your soul and make it bring forth good fruit, my son. God has greatly blessed my efforts at conversion. Shall I tell you a miracle? Yes, a miracle, wrought by me in Cappadocia. A young man, just such a one as you, with golden hair like yours, scoffed at and struck me as you scoffed and struck at me. I sat up all night with that youth wrestling for his soul. In the morning, not only was he a Christian, but his hair was white as snow.
Lentulus falls in a dead faint.
There. Take him away. The spirit has overwrought him, poor lad. Carry him gently to his house and leave the rest to heaven.
Take him home.
The servants, intimidated, hastily carry him out. Metellus is about to follow when Ferrovius lays his hand on his shoulder.
You are his friend, young man? You will see that he is taken safely home.
Certainly, sir. I shall do whatever you think best. Most happy to have made your acquaintance, I'm sure. You may depend on me. Good evening, sir.
Blessing of heaven upon you and him.
Metellus follows Lentulus. The Centurion returns to his seat to resume his interrupted nap. Ferrovius, with a long sigh of happiness, goes to Lavinia and offers her his hand.
So, is that how you convert people, Ferrovius?
Yes, there was a blessing on my work in spite of my unworthiness and my backslidings. All through my wicked devilish temper, this man...
Don't slap me on the back, brother. She knows you mean me.
I wish I were weak like our brother here. For then I should perhaps be meek and gentle like him. And yet there seems to be a special providence that makes my trials less than his. I hear tales of the crowd scoffing and casting stones and reviling the brethren. But when I come, all this stops. My influence calms the passions of the mob. They listen to me in silence, and infidels are often converted by straight heart-to-heart talk with me. Every day I feel happier, more confident. Every day lightens the load of the great terror.
The great terror? What's that?
Lavinius sits down beside her on her left and buries his face in his hands in gloomy meditation.
Well, you see, sister, he's never quite sure of himself. Suppose at the last moment in the arena, with the gladiators there to fight him, one of them was to say anything to annoy him, he might forget himself and lay that gladiator out.
That would be splendid.
What?
Oh, sister.
Splendid to betray my master like Peter. Splendid to act like common blackguard on the day of my proving woman. You are no Christian.
He moves away from her to the middle of the square as if her neighborhood contaminated him.
You know, Ferrovius, I'm not always a Christian. I don't think anybody is. there are moments when I forget all about it and something comes out quite naturally, as it did just then.
What does it matter? If you die in the arena, you'll be a martyr, and all martyrs go to heaven, no matter what they have done. That's so, isn't it, Ferrovius?
Yes, that is so, if we are faithful to the end.
I'm not so sure.
Don't say that. That's blasphemy. Don't say that. I tell you, we shall be saved no matter what we do.
Perhaps you men will all go into heaven bravely and in triumph with your heads erect and golden trumpets sounding for you. But I'm sure I shall only be allowed to squeeze myself in through a little crack in the gate after a great deal of begging. I am not good always. I have moments only.
You're talking nonsense, woman. I tell you, martyrdom pays all scores.
Well, let us hope so, brother, for your sake. You've had a gay time, haven't you, with your raids on the temples? I can't help thinking that heaven will be a very dull place for a man of your temperament. Don't be angry. I say it only to console you, in case you should die in your bed tonight in the natural way. There's a lot of plague about.
I never thought of that. Oh, Lord, spare me to be martyred. Oh, what a thought to be put into the mind of a brother. Oh, let me be martyred today. Now I shall die in the night and go to hell. You're a sorcerer. You've put death into my mind. Oh, curse you, curse you.
He tries to seize Androcles by the throat, but Ferrovius is holding him in a grip of iron.
What's this, brother? Anger or violence, raising your hand to a brother Christian?
It's easy for you. You're strong. Your nerves are right. But I'm full of disease.
Ferrovius takes his hand from him in an instinctive disgust.
I've drunk all my nerves away. I shall have the horrors all night.
Oh, don't take on so, brother. We're all sinners.
Yes, I dare say if the truth were known, you're all as bad as I am.
Does that comfort you?
Pray, man, pray.
Use praying. If we're martyred, we shall go to heaven, shan't we, whether we prayed or not?
What's that? Not pray? Pray this instant, you dog, you rotten hound, you slimy snake, you beastly goat.
Yes, beat me, kick me. I forgive you. Mind that.
Yeah.
Spintho reels away and falls in front of Ferrovius. Androcles reaches out and catches the skirt of Ferrovius' tunic.
Dear brother, if you wouldn't mind, just for my sake,
Well,
don't call him by the names of the animals. We've no right to. I've had such friends in dogs. A pet snake is the best of company. I was nursed on goat's milk. Is it fair to them to call the like of him a dog or a snake or a goat?
I only meant they have no souls.
Oh, believe me, they have. Just the same as you and me. I really don't think I could consent to go to heaven if I thought there were to be no animals there. Think of what they suffer here.
That's true. Yes, that is just. They will have their share in heaven. What's that you say?
Nothing.
Do animals go to heaven or not?
I never said they didn't.
Do they or do they not?
They do, they do. Oh, curse you for frightening me.
Attention! Form as before. Now then, prisoners, up with you and trot along spry.
The soldiers fall in, the Christians rise. A man with an ox goad comes running through the central arch.
Here, you soldiers, clear out of the way for the Emperor.
Emperor? Where's the Emperor? You ain't the Emperor, are you?
It's the Menagerie service. My team of oxen is drawing the new lion to the Colosseum. You clear the road.
What? Go in after you in your dust with half the town at the heels of you and your lion? Not likely. We go first.
The Menagerie service is the Emperor's personal retinue. You clear out, I tell you.
You tell me, do you? Well, I'll tell you something. If the lion is menagerie service, the lion's dinner is menagerie service too. This,
Pointing to the Christians,
is the lion's dinner. So back with you to your bullocks double quick and learn your place. March! Now then, you Christians, step out there.
Come along the rest of dinner. I shall be the olives and anchovies.
I shall be the soup. And I shall be the fish.
Ferrovius shall be the roast boar.
I see the joke. Yes, yes, I should be the roast boar. Ha ha!
I shall be the mince pie.
Silence! Have some sense of your situation. Is this the way for martyrs to behave? Spintho, I know what you'll be at that dinner. You'll be the emetic.
he shoves him along rudely.
Too dreadful. I'm not fit to die.
Fitter than you are to live, you swine.
They pass from the square westward. The oxen, drawing a wagon with a great wooden cage and a lion in it, arrive through the central arch. Behind the emperor's box at the Colosseum, where the performers assemble before entering the arena, the martyrs are sitting on the steps. Lavinia is seated halfway up, thoughtful, trying to look death in the face. On her left, Androcles consoles himself by nursing a cat. Ferrovius stands behind him, his eyes blazing, his figure stiff with intense resolution. At the foot of the steps crouches Spintho, with his head clutched in his hands, full of horror at the approach of martyrdom. Retiarius is a nearly naked man with a net and a trident. Secutor is in armor with a sword. He carries a helmet with a barred visor. The editor of the Gladiators sits on a chair a little apart from them.
Number 6, Retiarius versus Secutor.
The gladiator with the net picks it up. The gladiator with the helmet puts it on. And the two go into the arena, the net thrower taking out a little brush and arranging his hair as he goes, the other tightening his straps and shaking his shoulders loose. Both look at themselves in the mirrors before they enter the passage.
Will they really kill one another?
Yes, if the people turn down on their thumbs.
You know nothing about it. The people indeed. Do you suppose we would kill a man worth perhaps 50 talents to please the riffraff? I should like to catch any of my men at it.
I thought...
You thought? Who cares what you think? You'll be killed all right enough.
Has nobody ever killed except for us poor...
Christians?
If the Vestal Virgins turn down their thumbs, that's another matter. They're ladies of rank.
Does the Emperor ever interfere?
Oh, yes. He turns his thumbs up fast enough if the Vestal Virgins want to have one of his pet fighting men killed.
But don't they ever just only pretend to kill one another? Why shouldn't you pretend to die or just get dragged out as if you were dead and then get up and go home like an actor?
See here, you want to know too much. There will be no pretending about the new lion. Let that be enough for you. He's hungry.
Oh, Lord, can't you stop talking about it? Isn't it bad enough for us without that?
I'm glad he's hungry. Not that I want him to suffer, poor chap, but then he'll enjoy eating me so much more. There's a cheerful side to everything.
The editor rises and strides over to Androcles.
Here, don't you be obstinate. Come with me and drop the pinch of incense on the altar. That's all you need to do to be let off.
No, thank you very much indeed, but I really mustn't.
What? Not to save your life?
I'd rather not. I couldn't sacrifice to Diana. She's a huntress, you know, and kills things.
That don't matter. You can choose your own altar. Sacrifice to Jupiter. He likes animals. He turns himself into an animal when he goes off duty.
No, it's very kind of you, but I feel I can't save myself that way.
But I don't ask you to do it to save yourself. I ask you to do it to oblige me personally.
Oh, please don't say that. That is dreadful. You mean so kindly by me that it seems quite horrible to disoblige you. If you could arrange for me to sacrifice when there's nobody looking, I shouldn't mind. But I must go into the arena with the rest. My honor, you know?
Honor? The honor of a tailor?
Well, perhaps honor is too strong of an expression. Still, you know, I couldn't allow the tailors to get a bad name through me.
How much will you remember all of that when you smell the beast's breath and see his jaws opening to tear out your throat?
Oh, I can't bear it. Where's the altar? I'll sacrifice.
Dog of an apostate Iscariot.
I'll repent afterwards. I fully mean to die in the arena. I'll die a martyr and go to heaven, but not this time, not now, not until my nerves are better. Besides, I'm too young. I want to have just one more good time. Will nobody tell me where the altar is?
Spintho dashes into the passage and vanishes.
Brother, I can't do that. Not even to oblige you. Don't ask me.
Well, if you're determined to die, I can't help you. But I wouldn't be put off by a swine like that.
Peace, peace, tempt him not. Get thee behind him, Satan.
For 2 pins, I'd take a turn in the arena myself today and pay you out for daring to talk to me like that.
Ferrovius springs forward.
Oh, my temper, my wicked temper. Forgive me, editor, brother. My heart was full of wrath. I should have been thinking of your dear precious soul.
Yeah.
He turns his back on Ferrovius contemptuously and goes back to his seat.
I forgot it all. I thought of nothing but offering to fight you with one hand tied behind me.
What?
Oh, don't give way to pride and wrath, brother. I could do it so easily, I could.
They are separated by the menagerie keeper, who rushes in from the passage furious.
Here's a nice business. Who let the Christian out up here down to the dens when we were changing the lion into the cage next to the arena?
Nobody let him. He let himself.
Well, the lions ate him.
The Christians rise, greatly agitated. The gladiators sit callously, though highly amused.
What?
Oh, poor rat.
The apostate has perished.
The poor beast was starving. It couldn't help itself.
What? I ate him? How frightful! How terrible!
Just terrible without a moment to repent.
God be merciful to him, a sinner.
Oh, I can't bear to think of it in the midst of his sin.
How horrible, horrible!
Serve the rotter right.
Just walked into it, he did.
He martyred all the way through, good old lion.
Old Doc doesn't like that. Look at his face.
Devil the
The better.
The Emperor will laugh when he hears of it.
I can't help smiling.
Now his appetite's taken off. He won't as much as look at another Christian for a week.
Oh, couldn't you have saved him, brother?
Saved him? Saved him from a lion that I just got mad with hunger. A wild one that came out of the forest not 4 weeks ago. He bolted him before you could say bulbous.
Poor Spintho. And it won't even count as martyrdom.
Serve him right. What call had he to walk down the throat of one of my lions before he was asked?
Perhaps the lion won't eat me now.
Yes, that's just like a Christian. Think only of yourself. What am I to do? What am I to say to the Emperor when he sees one of my lions coming into the arena half asleep?
Say nothing. Give your old lion some bitters and a morsel of fried fish to wake up his appetite.
Yes, it's easy for you to talk, but
The
I
enemy
have
scrambles to its feet.
Shh! Attention there. The Emperor.
The keeper bolts precipitously into the passage. The gladiators rise smartly and form a line. The Emperor enters on the Christian side, conversing with Metellus, and followed by his suite.
Hail Caesar! Those about to die salute thee.
Good morrow, friends.
Metellus shakes hands with the editor, who accepts his condescension with bluff respect.
Blessing, Caesar, and forgiveness.
There's no forgiveness for Christianity.
I did not mean that, Caesar. I mean that we forgive you.
An inconceivable liberty! Do you not know, woman, that the emperor can do no wrong, and therefore cannot be forgiven?
I expect the emperor knows better. Anyhow, we forgive him.
Amen.
Amen.
Metellus, you see now the disadvantage of too much severity? These people have no hope. Therefore, they have nothing to restrain them from saying what they like to me. They are almost as impertinent as the gladiators. Which is the Greek sorcerer?
Me, your worship.
My worship. Good. A new title. Well, what miracles can you perform?
I can cure warts by rubbing them with my tailor's chalk, and I can live with my wife without beating her.
Is that all?
You don't know her, Caesar, or you wouldn't say that.
Well, my friend, we shall no doubt contrive a happy release for you. Which is Ferrovius?
I am he.
They tell me you can fight.
It is easy to fight. I can die, Caesar.
Well, that is still easier, is it not?
Not to me, Caesar. Death comes hard to my flesh, and fighting comes very easily to my spirit. O sinner that I am.
He throws himself down on the steps, deeply discouraged.
Metellus, I should like to have this man in the Praetorian Guard.
I should not, Caesar. He looks a spoiled sport. There are men in whose presence it is impossible to have any fun. Many are a sort of walking conscience. He would make us all uncomfortable.
For that reason, perhaps, it might be well to have him. An emperor can hardly have too many consciences. Listen, Ferrovius, you and your friends shall not be outnumbered today in the arena. You shall have arms, and there will be no more than one gladiator to each Christian. If you come out of the arena alive, I will consider favorably any request of yours and give you a place in the Praetorian Guard. Even if the request be that no questions be asked about your faith, I shall perhaps not refuse it.
I will not fight. I will die. But to stand with the archangels and with the Praetorian Guard.
I cannot believe that the archangels, whoever they may be, would not prefer to be recruited from the Praetorian Guard. However, as you please. Come, let us see the show.
As the court ascends the steps, Secutor and Retiarius return from the arena through the passage, Secutor covered with dust and very angry. Retiarius is grinning.
Ha! The emperor. Now we shall see. Caesar, I ask you whether it is fair for Retiarius, instead of making a fair throw of his net at me, to swish it along the ground and throw the dust in my eyes and then catch me when I'm blinded. If the Vestals had not turned up their thumbs, I should have been a dead man.
Well, there's nothing in the rules against it.
Caesar, is it a dirty trick or is it not?
It is a dusty one, my friend. Hey, be on your guard the next time.
Let him be on his guard. Next time I'll throw my sword at his heels and strangle him with my own neck before he can hop off. You see? You see if I don't.
He goes out past the gladiators, sulky and furious.
These tricks are not wise, my friend. The audience likes to see a dead man in all his beauty and splendor. If you smudge his face and spoil his armor, they will show their displeasure by not letting you kill him. And when your turn comes, they will remember it against you and turn their thumbs down.
Perhaps that is why I did it, Caesar. He bet me 10 sesterces that he would vanquish me. If I had to kill him, I would not have gotten the money.
You rogues. There's no end to your tricks. I'll dismiss you all and have the elephants to fight. They fight fairly.
He goes up to his box and knocks at it. It's opened from within by the captain, who stands as if on parade to let him pass. The call boy comes from the passage, followed by 3 attendants carrying respectively a bunch of swords, some helmets, and some breastplates and pieces of armor, which they throw down in a heap.
By your leave, Caesar. Number 11, gladiators and Christians.
Ferrovius springs up, ready for martyrdom. The other Christians take the summons as best they can, some joyful and brave, some patient and dignified, some tearful and helpless, some embracing one another with emotion. The call boy goes back into the passage.
The hour has come, Ferrovius. I shall go into my box and see you killed, since you scorn the Praetorian Guard.
He goes into the box. The captain shuts the door, remaining inside with the emperor. Metellus and the rest of the suite disperse into the seats. The Christians, led by Ferrovius, move toward the passage.
Farewell.
Steady there. You Christians have got to fight. Here, arm yourselves.
Ferrovius picks up a sword.
I'll die sword in hand to show people that I could fight if it were my master's will, that I could kill the man who kills me if I chose.
Put on that armor.
No armor.
Do what you're told. Put on that armor.
I said no armor.
And what am I to say when I am accused of sending a naked man in to fight my men in armor?
Say your prayers, brother, and have no fear of the princes of this world.
You obstinate fool!
Farewell, brother, till we meet in the suite by and by.
You are going too! Take a sword there, and put on any armor you can find to fit you.
No, really, I can't fight. I never could. I can't bring myself to dislike anyone enough. I'm to be thrown to the lions with a lady.
Then get out of the way and hold your nose. Now then, are you all ready there?
Heaven, give me strength.
That frightens you, does it?
Man, there is no terror like the terror of that sound to me. When I hear a trumpet or a drum or the clash of steel or the hum of the catapult as the great stone flies, fire runs through my veins. I feel my blood surge up hot behind my eyes. I must charge, I must strike, I must conquer. Caesar himself will not be safe in his imperial seat if I once that spirit gets loose in me. Oh, brothers, pray. Exhort me. Remind me that if I raise my sword, my honor falls and my master is crucified afresh.
Just keep thinking how cruelly you might hurt the poor gladiators.
Does not hurt a man to kill him.
Nothing but faith can save you.
Faith? Which faith? There are 2 faiths. There's our faith and there's the warrior's faith. The faith in fighting. The faith that sees God in the sword. How if that faith should overwhelm me?
You will find your real faith in the hour of the trial.
That is what I fear. I know that I am a fighter. How can I feel sure that I am a Christian?
Throw away the sword, brother.
Cannot. It cleaves to my hand. Could as easily throw a woman I love from my arms. Spoke that blasphemy, not I.
I can't help you, friend. I can't tell you not to save your own life. Something willful in me wants to see you fight your way into heaven.
Ha!
But if you are going to give up our faith, brother, why not do it without hurting anybody? Don't fight them. Burn the incense.
Burn the incense, never.
That is only pride, Ferrovius.
Only pride? What is nobler than pride? Oh, I'm steeped in sin. I'm proud of my own pride.
They say we Christians are the proudest devils on earth, that only the weak are meek. I am much worse than you. I ought to send you to death, and I am tempting you.
Brother, Let them rage and kill. Let us be brave and suffer. You must go as a lamb to the slaughter.
Aye, that is right. Not as a lamb is slain by the butcher, but as a butcher might let himself be slain by a silly ram whose head he could fetch off in one twist.
Before the editor can retort, the call boy rushes up through the passage, and the captain comes from the Emperor's box and descends the steps.
In with you, into the arena. The stage is waiting.
The Emperor is waiting. Editor, what are you dreaming of, man? Send your men in at once.
Yes, sir. It's these Christians hanging back.
Liar!
March! Follow up there, you.
Be steadfast, brother. Farewell. Hold up.
Go to glory, dearest. Farewell.
Remember, we are praying for you. Farewell.
Farewell.
Strong, brother.
Eternal glory.
Farewell. Don't forget the divine love, and our love surrounds you.
Nothing can hurt you. Remember that, brother.
Farewell, eternal glory, dearest. Farewell.
Shove them in there.
The remaining gladiators and the callboy make a movement towards them.
Touch them dogs and we die here. Cheat the heathen of their spectacle. Christian brothers, the great moment has come. That passage is your hill to Calvary, mounted bravely but meekly. And remember, not a word of reproach, not a blow nor a struggle. Go! Farewell, Lavinia.
You forget. I must follow before you are cold.
It is true. Do not envy me because I passed before you to glory.
Callboy, sickening work this. Why can't they all be thrown to the lions? It's not a man's job.
The remaining gladiators go back to their former places indifferently. The callboy shrugs his shoulders and squats down at the entrance to the passage near the editor. Lavinia and the Christian women sit down again, wrung with grief, some weeping silently, some praying, some calm and steadfast. Androcles sits down at Lavinia's feet. The captain stands on the stairs, watching her curiously.
I'm glad I haven't to fight. That would be really awful martyrdom. I am lucky.
Androcles, burn the incense. You'll be forgiven. Let my death atone for both. I feel as if I were killing you.
Don't think of me, sister. Think of yourself. That will keep your heart up.
Ha!
Are you there, handsome captain? Have you come to see me die?
I am on duty with the Emperor, Lavinia.
Is it part of your duty to laugh at us?
No, that is part of my private pleasure. Your friend here is a humorist. I laughed at his telling you to think of yourself to keep up your heart. I say, think of yourself and burn the incense.
He's not a humorist. He was right. You ought to know that, Captain. You have been face to face with death.
Not with certain death, Lavinia. Only death in battle, which spares more men than death in bed. What you are facing is certain death. You have nothing left now but your faith in this craze of yours, this Christianity. Are your Christian fairy stories any truer than our stories about Jupiter and Diana? In which, I may tell you, I believe no more than the Emperor does, or any educated man in Rome.
Captain, all this seems nothing to me now. I'll not say that death is a terrible thing, but I will say that it is so real a thing that when it comes close, all the imaginary things, all the stories, as you call them, fade into mere dreams besides that inexorable reality. I know now that I am not dying for stories or dreams. Did you hear of the dreadful thing that happened while we were waiting?
I heard one of your fellows bolted and ran right into the jaws of the lion. I laughed. I still laugh.
Then you don't understand what that meant.
It meant that the lion had a cur for his breakfast.
It meant more than that, Captain. It meant that a man cannot die for a story in a dream. None of us believed the stories and the dreams more devotedly than poor Spintho. He could not face the great reality. What he would have called my faith has been oozing away minute by minute whilst I've been sitting here, with death coming nearer and nearer, with reality becoming realer and realer, with stories and dreams fading away to nothing.
Are you then going to die for nothing?
Yes. That is the wonderful thing. It is since all these stories and dreams have gone that I have now no doubt that I must die for something greater than dreams or stories.
But for what?
I don't know. If it were for anything small enough to know, it would be too small to die for. I think I'm going to die for God. Nothing else is real enough to die for.
What is God?
When we know that, Captain, we shall be gods ourselves.
Lavinia, come down to earth, burn the incense, and marry me.
Handsome Captain, would you marry me if I hauled down the flag in the day of battle and burnt the incense? Sons take after their mothers, you know. Do you want your son to be a coward?
By great Diana, I think I would strangle you if you gave in now.
Lavinia puts her hand on the head of Androcles.
The hand of God is on us three, Captain.
What nonsense it all is. And what a monstrous thing that you should die for such nonsense, and that I should look on helplessly with my whole soul cries out against it. Die then if you must. But at least I can cut the emperor's throat and then my own when I see your blood.
The emperor throws open the door of his box angrily and appears in wrath on the threshold. The editor, the callboy, and the gladiators spring to their feet.
The Christians will not fight. Your curs cannot get their blood up to attack them. It's all that fellow with the blazing eyes. Send for the whip. If that would not move them, bring the hot irons. The man is like a mountain.
He returns angrily into the box and slams the door. The callboy returns with a man in a hideous Etruscan mask, carrying a whip. They both rush down the passage into the arena.
Oh, that is unworthy. Can they not kill him without dishonoring him?
Androcles scrambles to his feet and runs into the middle of the space between the staircases.
It's dreadful! Now I want to fight! I can't bear the sight of a whip. The only time I ever hit a man was when he lashed an old horse with a whip. It was terrible! I danced on his face when he was on the ground. He mustn't strike Ferrovius. I'll go into the arena and kill him first!
He makes a mad dash into the passage. As he does so, a great clamor is heard from the arena, ending in wild applause. The gladiators listen and look inquiringly at one another.
What's up now?
What has happened, do you think?
What can happen? They are killing them, I suppose.
Ah!
Androcles, what's the matter?
Oh, don't ask me, don't ask me. Something too dreadful. Oh!
He crouches by her and hides his face in her robe, sobbing.
Ropes and hooks there. Ropes and hooks.
Well, need you excite yourself about it?
Two slaves in Etruscan masks with ropes and drag hooks hurry in.
How many dead?
6.
The slave blows a whistle twice, and 4 more masked slaves rush through in the arena with the same apparatus.
And the basket? Bring the baskets.
The slave whistles 3 times and runs through the passage with his companion.
Who are the baskets for?
For the whip. He's in pieces. They're all in pieces, more or less.
2 more masked slaves come in with a basket and follow the others into the arena as the callboy returns to the gladiators.
Boys, he's killed a lot.
Magnificent. Where is he? Where is he? Magnificent. He shall have a laurel crown.
Ferrovius, madly waving his blood-stained sword, rushes through the passage in despair, followed by his co-religionists and by the menagerie keeper who goes to the gladiators. The gladiators draw their swords nervously.
Lost. Lost forever. I have betrayed my master. Cut off this right hand. It has offended Ye have swords, my brethren, strike!
Oh, no, what have you done, Ferrovius?
I know not. There was blood behind my eyes. There's blood on my sword. What does this mean?
What does it mean? It means that you are the greatest man in Rome. It means that you shall have a laurel crown of gold, a superb fighter. I could almost yield my throne. It's a record for my reign. I shall live in history. Once in Domitian's time, a Gaul slew 3 men in the arena and gained his freedom. But when before has one naked man slain 6 armed men of the bravest and the best? The persecution shall cease. If Christians can fight like this, I shall have none but Christians to fight for me. You are ordered to become Christians, gladiators. You there, do you hear?
It's all one to us, Caesar. Had I been there with my net, the story might have been different.
Captain suddenly seizes Lavinia by the wrist and drags her up the steps to the emperor.
Caesar, this woman is the sister of Ferrovius. If she is thrown to the lions, he will fret. He will lose weight, get out of condition.
The lions? Nonsense. Madam, I am proud to have the honor of making your acquaintance. Your brother is the glory of Rome.
But my friends here, must they die?
Die? Certainly not. There's never been the slightest idea of harming them. Ladies and gentlemen, you are all free. Pray, go into the front of the house and employ the spectacle which your brother has so splendidly contributed. Captain, oblige me by conducting them to the seats reserved for my personal friends.
Caesar, I must have one Christian for the lion. The people have been promised it, and they will tear the decorations to bits if they are disappointed.
True, true. We must have somebody for the new lions.
Throw me to him. Let the apostates perish.
No, you would tear them to pieces, my friend, and we cannot afford to throw away lions as if they were mere slaves. But we must have somebody. Now, this is really extremely awkward.
Why not the little Greek chap? He's not a Christian. He's a sorcerer.
The very thing. Yeah, he would do very well.
Number 12, the Christian for the new lion.
Well, it was to be after all.
I'll go in his place, Caesar. Ask the captain whether they do not like best to see a woman torn to pieces. He told me so yesterday.
Well, there is something in that. There is certainly something in that. If only I could feel sure that your brother would not fret.
No, I should never have another happy hour. No, on the faith of a Christian and the honor of a tailor, I accept the lot that has fallen on me. If my wife turns up, give her my love and say that my wish that she should be happy with her next. Poor fellow. Caesar, go to your box and see how a tailor can die. Make way for number 12 there.
He marches out along the passage. The vast audience in the amphitheater now sees the emperor re-enter his box and take his place as Androcles, desperately frightened, but still marching with piteous devotion, emerges from the other end of the passage and finds himself at the focus of thousands of eager eyes. The lion's cage, with a heavy portcullis grating, is on his left. The emperor gives a signal. A gong sounds. Gong! Androcles shivers at the sound and then falls on his knees and prays. A grating rises with a clash.
What's in heaven?
The lion bounds into the arena. He rushes around, frisking in his freedom. He sees Androcles. He stops. He rises stiffly by straightening his legs, stretching out his nose forward and his tail in a horizontal line behind, like a pointer, and utters an appalling roar. Androcles crouches and hides his face in his hands. The lion gathers himself for a spring, swishing his tail to and fro through the dust in an ecstasy of anticipation. Androcles throws up his hands in supplication to heaven. The lion checks at the sight of Androcles' face. He then steals towards him, smells him, arches his back, and purrs like a motor car, finally rubbing himself up against Androcles, knocking him over.
Ah!
Supporting himself on his wrist, looks affrightedly at the lion. The lion limps on 3 paws, holding up the other as if it was wounded. A flash of recognition lights up the face of Androcles. He flaps his hand as if it had a thorn in it and pretends to pull the thorn out and to hurt himself. The lion moans repeatedly. Androcles holds out his hands to the lion, who gives him both paws, which he shakes with enthusiasm. They embrace rapturously. Finally, around the arena, amid a sudden burst of deafening applause, and out through the passage, the emperor watching them in breathless astonishment until they disappear, when he rushes from his box and now descends the steps in frantic excitement.
My friends, an incredible and amazing thing has happened. I can no longer doubt the truth of Christianity.
The Christians press to him joyfully.
The Christian sorcerer...
He breaks off as he sees Androcles and the lion emerge from the passage, waltzing. He bolts wildly up the steps into his box and slams the door. All Christians and gladiators alike flee for their lives, and the gladiators bolt from the arena, the others in other directions. The place is emptied with magical suddenness.
Now, I wonder why they all run away from us like that.
The lion, combining a series of yawns, purrs, and roars, achieves something very much like a laugh.
Sorcerer, I command you to put that lion to death instantly. It is guilty of high treason. Your conduct is most disgraceful.
The lion charges at him up the stairs, and he disappears. The lion rears out against the box, looks over the partition at him, and roars. The emperor darts out through the door and down to Androcles, pursued by the lion.
Don't run away, sir. He can't help springing if you run.
He seizes the emperor and gets between him and the lion, who stops at once.
Don't be afraid of him.
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of him.
The lion
keep
crouches,
between us.
growling.
Never be afraid of animals, your worship. That's the great secret. He'll be as gentle as a lamb when he knows that you are his friend. Stand quite still and smile and let him smell you all over, just to reassure him. For you see, he is afraid of you, and he must examine you thoroughly before he gives you his confidence. Come on now, Tommy, and speak nicely to the emperor, the great, good emperor who has power to have all our heads cut off if we don't behave very, very respectfully to him.
The emperor dashes madly up the steps, across the landing, and down again on the other side, with the lion in hot pursuit. Androcles rushes after the lion, overtakes him as he's descending, and throws himself on his back, trying to use his toes as a brake. Before he can stop him, the lion gets a hold of the trailing end of the emperor's robe.
Oh, bad, wicked Tommy, to chase the emperor like that. Let go of the emperor's robe at once, sir. Where's your manners? Don't pull it away from him, your worship. He's only playing. Now, I shall be really angry with you, Tommy, if you don't let go. I'll tell you what it is, sir. He thinks you and I are not friends.
Friends? You infernal scoundrel. Don't let him go. Don't let him go. Crush this brooch. I can't get it loose.
We mustn't let him lash himself into a rage. You must show him that you are my particular friend if you will have the condensation.
He seizes the emperor's hands and shakes them cordially.
Look, Tommy, the nice emperor is the dearest friend Andy Wandy has in the whole world. He loves him like a brother.
You little brute. You damn filthy little dog of a Greek tailor. I have you burn alive for daring to touch the divine person of the emperor.
Oh, don't talk like that, sir. He understands every word you say. All animals do. They take it from the tone of your voice. I think he's going to spring at your worship. If you wouldn't mind saying something affectionate.
My dearest Mr. Androcles, my sweetest friend, my long-lost brother, come to my arms.
He embraces Androcles.
Oh, what an abominable smell of garlic.
The lion lets go of the robe and rolls over on his back, clasping his forepaws one over another coquettishly above his nose.
There! You see, your worship? A child might play with him now. See?
He tickles the lion's belly, and the lion wriggles ecstatically.
Come, pet him.
I must conquer these unkingly terrors. Mind you, don't go away from him, though.
He pats the lion's chest.
Oh, sir, how few men would have the courage to do that.
Yes. Takes a bit of a nerve. Hey, let us invite the court in and frighten them. It is safe, do you think?
Quite safe now, sir.
What ho there? All who are within hearing, return without fear. Caesar has tamed the lion.
All fugitives steal cautiously in. The menagerie keeper comes from the passage with other keepers armed with iron bars and tridents.
Take those things away. I have subdued the beast.
Ferrovius timidly approaches the emperor and looks down in awe on the lion.
Strange that I, who fear no man, should fear a lion.
Every man fears something, Ferrovius.
How about the Praetorian Guard now?
My youth, I worshipped Mars, the god of war. I turned from him to serve the Christian god. But today the Christian god forsook me, and Mars overcame me and took back his own. The Christian god is not yet. He will come when Mars and I are just. But meanwhile, I must serve the gods that are, not the god that will be. Until then, I accept service in the guard, Caesar.
Very wisely said. All really sensible men agree that the prudent course is to be neither bigoted in our attachment to the old, nor rash and unpractical in keeping an open mind for the new, but to make the best of both dispensations.
What do you say, Lavinia? Will you too be prudent?
No. I'll strive for the coming of the god who is not yet.
May I come and argue with you occasionally?
Yes, handsome captain, you may.
He kisses her hands.
And now, my friends, though I do not, as you see, fear the lion, yet the strain of his presence is considerable, for none of us can feel quite sure what he will do next.
Caesar, give us this Greek sorcerer to be a slave of the menagerie. He has a way with the beasts.
Not if they're in cages. They should not be kept in cages. They must all be let out.
I give this sorcerer to be a slave to the first man who lays hands on him.
Menagerie keepers and the gladiators rush for Androcles. The lion starts up and faces them, and they surge back.
You see how magnanimous we Romans are, Androcles? We suffer you to go in peace.
I thank your worship. I thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. Come, Tommy. Whilst we stand together, no cage for you and no slavery for me.
Roar. He goes out with the lion, everyone crowding away to give him as wide a berth as possible.